she was in bitterness of soul and prayed unto the Lord and wept sore. And she vowed a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thy handmaid and remember me, and not forget thy handmaid, but will give unto thy handmaid a man-child, then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head. And my thought is, what do we do in a desperate situation? In studying the book of Hannah, I realized that, Hannah was one of the wives of Elkanah. Elkanah had two wives, Hannah and Peninnah. Hannah didn't have any children, but Peninnah had kids. And Peninnah made fun of him. She vexed her. I guess like women do, she continually picked at her, made fun about her. And in studying the book of Hannah, I know Hannah was not a black woman. She didn't pull off her earrings or fight. Matter of fact, the fifth verse said she prayed unto the Lord and wept bitterly. Yes. What do we do in a desperate situation? We seek God. We don't take matters into our own hands. We seek God. Now, yearly they would go up to the temple. Elkanah would take his two wives. And Peninnah had the man, but Hannah had the heart. Because when they would get to the temple, it was the routine where they would give the meat, and he would take the right portion of the shoulder and the breast, give it to the priest, and the rest he would give to his family during the feast. But he would give his wife, Peninnah, part, the children a part, but he always gave Hannah a double portion because he loved her. So God has a way of compensating for what's lacking in our lives. Like I said, Peninnah may have had the man, but she had the heart. She had his heart. And she was so upset and crying, and he asked her, what was wrong? Why are you so sore? Why are you so sad? He said, am I not better than 10 sons? But she wanted children because back in those days it was a disgrace to be barren. She wanted children. So when they went up to the temple and offered the sacrifice, Hannah decided that she, instead of whining, that she was going to pray. And she prayed. She prayed solely to herself. And the priest saw her praying and asked her, woman, what's wrong with you? You drunk or something? And she said, no, I'm not drunk. And she never went into her need with him, but she said, I just have a petition. I have something that I need the Lord to grant to me. And Eli, being in a prophetic voice, told her, go back home and your request will be granted. Now they went back home, and I guess Elkanah thought he was having sex as usual, but it wasn't sex as usual because God had already ordained that she was going to conceive, and she had a son. Amen. Now she had made the vow that when she had this son, she was going to give him back to the Lord. And that's where I really saw where faith came in, because being a mother myself, I just can't see taking a child and giving him up. But she had made a vow. And so when they went up to the temple that particular year, she said she wasn't going. That she was going to stay at home and nurse her child until he was weaned. And then she would take him to the temple and leave him there. Can you imagine that? Your only son, your only child, and you're going to take him to the temple and leave him there. But then she had made a vow, and she honored that vow. And in those days, they didn't mean a baby at 1 year old or whatever. He was probably 3 to 5 years old, and he was weaned. But she took him to the temple, and she left him. And every year she would go up and and she would take him a coat every year. But because she kept her promise, God didn't ask her to promise that, but that was just her vow. Because she kept her vow, God blessed her with 5 other children, 3 sons and 2 daughters. So we make a vow, we keep it. And when we are in distress, seek God. I know there are counselors and all that. That's good, but seek God first. Thank you.
Amen.